I'm paranormal romance author Miranda Thorne, and today I'm going to share with you possibly the most awkward dinner date to ever occur. You thought that person you met on Tinder was a freak? This is worse. They say the devil had a mansion in New Orleans where he kept a woman. It was a huge, ornate house that stood at 1319 St. Charles Street. He worked on it for a week, building it room by room, but because he was in a rush and couldn't work on Sunday, he did a horrible job and no two rooms were the same level. Each room had a small set of stairs to get to the next. And every night at sunset, you could peer up at the front gable and see him standing there, evil grin twisting his lips, his sharp little horns visible. His keen eyes were sure to catch you looking. Needless to say, people crossed to the other side of the street rather than pass so close to the house. No servants were needed. According to gossip, little red demons polished every inch of the place, 6 days a week. Satan brought a young woman there named Madeline and called her his wife. She was a beautiful woman, graceful and soft, and kept dressed in a lavish style, silks, velvets, and priceless jewels. But one day Madeline disappeared, and for a time the house stood vacant. In the 1840s, a family moved in and threw lavish parties that made them the hit of the social scene. But a woman who attended the parties spoke of the ghosts that haunted the place. Once the family was gone, the haunting became so terrifying that no tenants would stay for very long. Every evening at dusk, the phantoms came. Two ghostly shapes appeared at a long, well-appointed dining room table, sitting in carved, high-backed chairs. The woman stared at her companion with apprehension tightening her face. She seized one of the fancy satin napkins, and before the man could react, she looped it around his throat and yanked it tight. His face turned purple, and blood spurted as she pulled the cloth tight enough to sever an artery. When he finally stopped struggling, she released her hold and shook his shoulders, but he didn't stir. "You are gone, Alcide, and I am glad. Glad. You had to go, and I'm glad I killed you." But then she noticed her hands were dripping with his blood. She tried to wipe them clean on the snowy tablecloth, on her napkin, her dress. She even dipped her hands into her wine glass, but that just made the stains more hideous. She stumbled from the room, desperate for a place to wash her hands. So, seeing this echo of the past obviously terrified some of the tenants. After seeing it, they promptly packed their bags and bolted. Some stuck it out for a month or two, but no one lasted longer than that, until Lauren and Charles Laridan moved in. They didn't mind the ghosts, and they just lived their lives in a beautiful house they'd grown so fond of. But Lauren died giving birth to their daughter, and Charles took the infant to live in Atlanta before he returned home to New Orleans. He continued to live in the house, and it's from his diaries that we get the rest of the story of the Devil's Mansion. The devil, in a rush to build the house for his lady, left her alone for a week, and in that week she took a lover. And when Satan brought her to her new home, the lover followed. Though the devil enjoyed his time with her, he often went away on business, and during his many absences, her lover began to visit her until he was practically living there while the devil was out. But one day the lover, Alcide, was sullen, and wine didn't restore his good humor. Madeline finally lost her temper and asked him why he was in such a foul mood, and he told her that on his way out of the house last night, he was approached by a man on the street. He was asking for directions, and he also asked if he knew Madeline. And of course, Alcide said yes. He laughed loudly and asked if I was in love with you. He was a tall, powerful man with piercing black eyes. "Do you know who he was, Madeline?" And of course, she denied knowing him, but asked Alcide what he told the man. Alcide said, "I told him your body was ripe and warm and delicious, but that I didn't love you." And he laughed, and he said you were his woman, but he would give me your body. I could have you in £1,000,000 of gold, but from then on, I must be called L, and you Madame L. He was not joking. On my chest, there's a huge L that burns like fire, and before my eyes, there's a constant flaming L that comes between us. No matter how close I hold you, what does the L stand for, Madeline? She tried to play dumb, but she knew it stood for Lucifer. The devil told Alcide he could take her away tonight, and Madeline was thrilled. She'd be happy to go with him. But Alcide admitted he wasn't going to take her anywhere, and he'd never planned to. He told her, "There are other girls much younger than you, and a mistress isn't fit to be a wife." And that's when she strangled him. After she wandered through the house half the night trying to clean her hands, the devil came home. He roared with laughter to see her wringing her hands, searching for a place to wash them. He bundled her under one arm and tossed her dead lover over his other shoulder, and took them to a secret balcony on the roof. And then he locked the door. He sat at the peak of the gable and said, "I am hungry. Hand me up your liver that I may eat," he demanded. Madeline managed to hoist Alcide's dead weight up onto the gable. Sucking and crunching, the devil ate every bit of him except the skin. He tossed the skin back to Madeline, but the wind caught it, filling it like a balloon and leaving it billowing against a wall. The devil seized her in his powerful grip, and her empty skin floated down limp. And the devil stayed on the gable while the neighborhood cats fought over the skins until there was no trace of the couple left. The devil departed, leaving a mask of himself grinning grotesquely down on the street. Charles Lurden finally went away. Mrs. Jacks moved in. Her family avoided the dining room in the evening hours. Doors often opened and closed on their own, and you could hear frantic steps moving between the rooms. Doorknobs would turn on their own, but there was never anyone there. And when some brave soul dared to go on the balcony on the roof, they'd see the devil there, twisting his head to look at them. And they swore it was no lifeless mask, but the devil alive up there, snarling at them with long spiked teeth. They say he's stuck there because he worked while the moon was full. The dark of the moon is his time, and he was stuck there as punishment until the home was demolished in the 1930s. Have you heard this story? Do you know any other ghost stories? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, or the devil says he's gonna eat my cats. Save a cat.